Just like every season has a turn, so does every good story. Up until now, we have seen the benefits that the unfamiliar has granted Brin. But dead claws, they dig deep, and nothing is given without a price. And that price may be more than he is willing to pay.
Under the cover of night, they reached what was left of the temple. The moonlit sky, the only illumination entering the ruins. Brin was startled to hear the sound of excited squeaking. It seemed that his cat friend had gone ahead and caught a field mouse. As cats do, it was toying with it. It gave the toy a little smack to send it tumbling towards Brin's feet. Righting itself, the little mouse's hands went up and motioned towards him and almost begged for mercy. The black cat form hunched down, getting ready for one final death pounce.
In a moment of uncontrolled mercy, the towering human bent down and shooed the mouse away behind his feet. At the same time, he swatted at the cat, connecting with his face, sending him careening back into the darkness.
A feeling of intense fear immediately swept over Brin. The black mass hissed and snarled, lunging at him, claws cutting him clear across the forehead. He dropped immediately to his knees, feeling the intense need to atone. Trevathan came upon him in the middle of the act. He shook his friend out of his stupor, imploring him to get it together. At this point, Trevathan had almost enough. Something was going on with his accomplice, and he no longer wanted any part of it. The talk of a cat that he couldn't see, the talking to himself, he was completely done. And he left him there and began the trip back to the town alone. As dangerous as that might have been, it seemed a better option at this point, and truthfully, he was probably right.
Brin showing mercy to the little creature is something that cannot stand. It would be the same as a bloodhound smacking the bow out of the hand of a ranger as he's about to bring down his prey. The new master marking his servant with a cut on the head is more than just a physical reminder that obedience is expected. It's a mark that will seal his fate.
Alone and mentally exhausted, Brin collapsed once again into a deep sleep. Only this time, the restful slumber that he had come to expect had eluded him, replaced by horrible nightmares. He was small, as small as the mouse he had shown kindness to, while in front of him, the cat had grown to the size of a giant panther. His pet began to stalk him tirelessly, its hot breath cascading down his neck, expecting any moment to feel the sink of its teeth into his flesh. But no, he escapes, or so he thinks. Turning a corner into the darkness, he would be greeted by the face of his pursuer, toying with him as he once did with the little mouse. Again and again, the scene plays out till one time he rounds the corner of the maze to see a man standing there, the one he recognizes as Dr. Van Richten. The doctor opens up his mouth.
Fool! What were you thinking, playing with fire like that? Send it away before it's too late.
Stifling the doctor's words, the cat pounces, tearing at the flesh of the old man, ripping him limb from limb. Horrified, Brin cannot look away. The beast then turns to him,
claws and teeth dripping with blood. An unfamiliar voice says, followed by another and another. The crescendo of voices rises up and the stalker closes in on him until the scene fades away and he wakes up in a cold sweat. The purring cat, the only sound, staring, unblinking, into his eyes. In the morning, Brin would make his way back to Mordenshire, but something had changed. For the next week, the people of the town would recoil when talking to him. Business owners would refuse his patronage. People would begin to cross to the other side of the street if they saw him coming. He was becoming a sort of pariah. Surely, they didn't know what he had done. They hadn't pegged him before for any types of crime, so this made no sense. Every night when he would go to sleep, though, the cat would be there with him, and again, the same nightmares. He knew at this point what the creature wanted from him. He knew what he had to do. He would have to pay a visit to the old man from his dreams. Outside of the Van Richten's herbalist shop, he would stand for what seemed like an eternity. He could see the cat curled up in the eaves above the entrance, just waiting for him to approach. Then he felt something he wasn't expecting. a yank on his shoulder. Spinning around, he saw the same group of men who had chased him the first night in Wardenshire. Taking up arms and brandishing rope and irons, these men admonished Brin for his sins and began to advance on him, and then they stopped in their tracks as if some supernatural force had placed a wall of horror around their target, an unholy force that the men dare not penetrate. Dropping their weapons, the men turned and retreated, refusing to advance any further. The old man's words echoed in his head. He has been marked already. The scratch. Stained fingers moved up to touch the spot on his forehead where the creature had staked its claim. A sigh of resignation fell from his lips. He belonged to it now. Having been gifted so much, what it asked in return really didn't seem all that unreasonable. He had killed before, and he kind of liked it. Forsaken hands clenched the hood, and up over his head it went. With measured steps, he approached the shop and placed his open palm on the door. All the while, his new partner, his unfamiliar, looked on from his perch and purred.
The sole purpose of the ghost cat is to get its hooks into a person and corrupt them completely. Once a person commits an evil act in Ravenloft, it is possible that it will draw the attention of the unfamiliar. It will offer boons and blessings, all the while making the person more and more dependent on it, driving it further down the path to darkness. To ensure a person does not fall prey to many of the threats of the demiplane, once a creature is marked, usually by an unobtrusive scar, even undead creatures will recoil in horror from that person, rather than face the unfamiliar's wrath. It's said that even Dark Lords themselves will abandon the attacks against the targets, preferring to instead relish the fact that somebody else is as doomed as they are. It's the reason that the people at first will welcome the presence of the ghost cat, not realizing its gifts are going to come with a hefty price. The cat can only be seen by the person it targets, but it will behave to them like a normal cat, sitting on its lap, purring, but as time goes on, it will spend more time just staring at its master as if it were his prey, slowly driving the target to act out of desperation as he or she realizes how little control they actually have. Once marked, even normal people the person interacts with will sense an aura of evil around the target, to the point that he will be alienated from almost everyone he comes into contact with, leaving the cat as its only friend. The mark still has free will. The cat can't make him do what he wants, only create circumstances where it is preferable to atoning for their sins. Even in our story, Brin still had a choice, but it was a tough one that could have led to his death. Whenever the victim acts in a way that's contrary to the cat's wishes, he could scratch him or bite him. Doing so causes the same amount of damage a normal creature would do. However, the wounds are resistant to magic, and healing only happens at 1/30th the rate of normal, meaning it would take 30 points of healing to produce 1 hit point of recovery. Given enough time, this could lead to a death by 1,000 cuts situation. The ghost cat also has its own set of defenses. It cannot be turned, shows no aversion to holy symbols or water, and can accompany its victims into holy sites with no sign of distress, although it will be quite agitated if the victim is there for the purposes of expiation. The only thing that will work on the unfamiliar is an atonement spell. Oh, and I forgot to mention, the cat isn't the only form this unfamiliar can take. It can, in fact, be any type of small creature, so be wary. The next time Fido comes bringing you some bone he found out on a walk, Fido, maybe no mo. I'll leave you today in the words on the subject from the author Edgar Allan Poe. I highly recommend you listen to his poem, The Black Cat, which was obviously the inspiration for the creature in Ravenloft. I will link it in the description. He sums the relationship up thusly.
With my aversion to this cat growing, its partiality for myself seemed to increase. Whenever I sat, it would crouch beneath my chair or spring upon my knees, covering me with its loathsome caresses. Neither by day nor by night knew I the blessing of rest any more. I started from dreams of unutterable fear to find the hot breath of the thing upon my face, and in its vast weight, an incarnate nightmare that I had no power to shake off, incumbent, eternal, upon my black heart.
Thank you all so very much for watching the video today. What we're doing on this channel is I'm going to break down the longer lore videos into sections and post them on the regular Polyhedra Paradise channel. But if you want to watch them all stitched together in one long form, go out and check the other channel we have, Polyhedra Paradise Lore Chest. That is linked in the description. You can get them all in one long video, put it on a playlist. There are no live streams and no extraneous material on that channel. So thank you all very much for watching today. Please like and subscribe, share this out to your friends, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. In the game of life, may you always roll with advantage.
Everyone you know is an asshole, when everyone you know is a cat. And cats are just like dogs, except they're assholes. And every dog agrees it's just like that.